Well, I'm talking with Manx Radio's Chris Williams, an event that's coming up which rocked radio, it rocked the Constitution in both the UK and the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Marine Offences Bill that came in 1967, which is about to be celebrated. And I think it might be a good starting point, Chris, is to play a news clip that the BBC have just put online from their archives, which is fascinating. It was put out the day before the thing was being discussed here.
Yeah.
But from this, we'll play part of it. You can, if you weren't around at the time, you'll get the importance that the Isle of Man was putting its foot down, basically.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And, well, things could have been so different. Anyway, have a look at this.
The fact that newsmen from all over the world are expected here in Douglas for tomorrow's debate shows just how much a row about commercial radio has mushroomed into the intriguing question whether or not Whitehall has the right to overrule the wishes of the very proud 50,000 Manx people who claim self-government in all but foreign and defence affairs. The row starts 4 miles offshore with Radio Caroline. For months, Caroline's pop ship has advertised without charge the delights of the Isle of Man. But in 8 days' time, Caroline is outlawed by Whitehall's Marine Broadcasting Offences Act. The island's 24 MPs, loath to lose such a medium, threw out the bill and asked Whitehall, alternatively, for an increase in power for Radio Manx, the island's own commercial station, so the good word could continue to reach the mainland. This was refused, and for added measure, Whitehall said it would enforce the pirate radio bill in the island with an order in council. To Roy MacDonald, the representative for the ancient port of Peel, a Viking base 1100 years ago, this was an unwarranted intrusion by Whitehall, so he forced tomorrow's debate. On what grounds does he think the island can go to the United Nations?
Well, anyone's entitled to go to the United Nations, but in our particular case at the moment, if, as some believe, we are not a fully self-governing territory, well then under Article 73 of the Charter, which the United Kingdom is a party to, the interests of the people of this island are paramount and above the interests of the United Kingdom. And the government in the United Kingdom at the moment appear to be disregarding this section of the Charter.
See, that is fascinating, isn't it? Just to hear the local MHK saying we're not just going to take this line down. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out, did it?
No, it didn't quite work out. I think the Isle of Man government, I think, were flexing their muscles and saying, hang on a minute, you know, we are an offshore jurisdiction, but we have our own government, you know, the oldest independent parliament in the world, etc., and we will do what we want to do. And to be fair to the Manx government, I think they were supporting the real feel of the Manx people because they love what Caroline were doing. They didn't have a chance to listen to pop music before that, apart from maybe an hour with the BBC or the Station of the Stars, Fab 208, Radio Luxembourg, you know, and those of us who are old enough to remember lying in bed, you know, under the pillows, listening to pirate radio or listening to 208, where it used to fade in and out all the time, you know. And as I mentioned to a colleague of mine the other day, there was also a feeling from people's parents, not a big one, but I've had this mentioned to me a couple of times where, my mum used to think that pop radio was, terrible, unholy, vile, disgusting, criminal.
The Antichrist sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely. Don't
the devil.
Don't listen to that. He'll twist your mind, and you know. So there was a bit of that going on. But I think the Manx public clearly loved what Caroline were doing, and the jocks would come off the ship and go and do little discos in the Lido and Summerland and places like that. And I think the Manx government said, yeah, hang on a minute, guys. We're not listening to you. Ted Short was the Postmaster General across at the time, and he was the one who wrote the legislation. And Tony Benn
was definitely
then the one who pushed it through Parliament in '67, and perhaps
there's a great clip of him saying this is awful. And we shouldn't.
Yeah, they're stealing the copyright, and they pay no money for it. They play music, and they pay no money for it, and and they're causing interference. Incidentally, it's interesting that there hasn't been one proven case of interference from an offshore radio station ever since 1964, and we're running right up to when Caroline was last at sea, which was '89. There's never been a proven case, but that's by the by.
I mean, the impact on Manx Radio, for instance. I mean, on that video, you can see these early shots when it's on the promenade. It was the first legal commercial radio station in the British Isles, and it had aspirations, of course, to be taking over. I suppose once the pirates out of the way, there was always that potential. The Isle of Man could have this huge Radio Luxembourg sort of station. Yeah,
absolutely. But again, you see, the Manx government then stepped in and said, "Oh no, we're not going to let you do that. We're going to limit the amount of AM power you have," which is still an issue. Otherwise we'd have 50 kilowatts.
Well, the UK gave us 188. I can say us because I had to switch things on and off here. 232 for daylight hours.
That's right.
Because the world service is on it. You couldn't make this up if you tried these days.
No, you couldn't, and people wouldn't. I mean, nowadays, for instance, people will not tolerate pushing buttons to find this. You know, it's either there or it isn't there. You know.
It's a momentous time, though, wasn't it? I mean,
I wasn't there, but it's such a shame. I'm so annoyed I wasn't, because it must have been a great time. But you know, you watch The Boat That Rocked, if you've seen the film The Boat That Rocked, and it's all it's glorified and glamorous. It's not quite like it was in the film. You don't have boatloads of good-looking women and girls throwing their knickers at the DJs.
But there were tours of Ramsey to take around the boat, right? And the stars came in, and they got their autographs signed.
That's it. All sorts of well-known household names visited the Caroline North ship, Lulu, George Harrison. The Beatles obviously visited the South ship and Radio London, which was the other big pirate of the time in the 60s. But because you have to remember, originally Ronan O'Reilly, who started Caroline, was a record producer and agent and manager, and he had a little-known act called Georgie Fame, who nobody's heard of. And
he couldn't get it played, right?
He couldn't get it played.
Yeah.
He went to the BBC. The BBC said, "We're not playing it." He went to Luxembourg, and Radio Luxembourg says, "We only play records on Decca or EMI."
Because they were paid huge amounts of money, weren't they?
Yeah, payola was rife in those days, So he said, "Well, look, I'll start my own record label. Will you play this record?" And 208 said, "No, we only play Decca or EMI." So Ronan thought, well, if I can't find a radio station to play my artist, I'll buy a radio station and play my own artist, and I can sail it anywhere around the British Isles I like.
And the rest is history, isn't it?
And the rest is history. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, in the other section, we're talking about Manx Radio's involvement and going to have a 4-day fest of Radio Caroline, which will be available on AM 1368. So check that video out here as well.